Touched on early this morning from the NBA involving not one but two arrests of notable people within the NBA.
Reports reveal the NBA teetering on the brink after sponsors pulled out amid a massive gambling scandal. The fallout shows chaos, broken trust, and financial risks threatening the league's future. Fans and insiders are in shock, and the ripple effects are spreading fast. Here's the full story they don't want you to see. Legal exposure and litigation costs. The NBA's legal exposure following the gambling scandal is unprecedented in its scale and complexity. With allegations involving insider betting schemes tied to high-profile players, coaches, and even connections to organized betting groups, the league faces a multi-front legal challenge. The potential liabilities include civil lawsuits, regulatory fines, and possibly class action claims from parties who argue that the scandal harmed their interests. Legal experts suggest the cumulative cost could reach billions, factoring in both defense fees and potential settlements.
Miami Heat point guard Terry Rozier and Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups have been arrested in connection to an FBI sports gambling investigation.
Particularly concerning is the breadth of implicated individuals. High-profile names like Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and former players such as Damon Jones add visibility and urgency to the legal proceedings. Their involvement amplifies the risk of reputational damage, and by extension, financial liability. Lawsuits may emerge not just over alleged betting misconduct, but also for perceived unfairness that could have affected betting markets, contractual obligations, or fan experiences. Each suit, while varying in scale, represents an additional burden for the league. The NBA is reportedly taking preemptive steps to mitigate this exposure. Internal reviews are underway, focusing on improving monitoring of betting activities, revising protocols around player injuries, and strengthening compliance programs. These efforts require hiring external legal counsel, building internal investigation teams, and implementing comprehensive integrity frameworks, measures that come with significant operational costs. Beyond the immediate financial impact, the legal fallout threatens the league's bargaining position with sponsors and broadcasters. A prolonged or high-profile litigation process could make investors wary, impacting contract renegotiations and long-term partnerships. Sponsors and broadcast partners may demand transparency reports or assurances of internal reforms before continuing multi-year agreements. Ultimately, the NBA's challenge is twofold: contain immediate legal risks and implement systemic safeguards to prevent recurrence. These measures are not optional. They are necessary for both fiscal stability and the long-term perception of league integrity. The investment in compliance and oversight is substantial, but inaction could lead to an exponentially higher cost in both legal payouts and eroded trust. The league's ability to navigate these challenges while maintaining operational continuity will be critical in determining whether it emerges from the scandal financially and structurally intact. Damage to fan trust and media rights. Fan trust forms the backbone of the NBA's revenue model. The current gambling scandal directly threatens this trust, as allegations of insider betting and manipulation undermine the perception of fair competition. Fans need to believe that games are genuine and outcomes legitimate. When that belief is compromised, the impact is felt across ticket sales, merchandise, and viewership, all of which feed into the league's economic ecosystem.
It goes back to Tim Donaghy, but there's always been questions about the trust factor into the NBA.
A drop in engagement may be immediate, but also long-term. Surveys and historical examples suggest that once fans feel a sport is compromised, re-engaging them can be slow and difficult. Declines in live attendance, viewership numbers, and digital engagement directly affect both ticket revenue and media ratings, creating a compounding economic effect. Even short-term disillusionment can ripple into merchandise sales, in-game experiences, and subscription-based content, potentially reducing the league's core revenue streams. Media rights agreements are particularly sensitive to perceptions of legitimacy. The NBA's recent $77 billion 11-year deal depends on audience stability. Any decline in fan engagement raises concerns for broadcasters who may reconsider long-term commitments or renegotiate terms. Lower ratings or an eroded fan base can influence advertising strategies, causing potential sponsors to reconsider their investment or demand discounts, creating a double financial blow. To rebuild confidence, the league must demonstrate proactive reform and transparency. This includes clear communication about internal investigations, enhanced integrity measures, and engagement strategies aimed at fans. While PR alone is insufficient, combining communication with meaningful policy changes can help reassure both viewers and business partners. The economic implications of eroded trust are not just immediate but systemic. A persistent perception of compromised integrity could affect fan loyalty, media valuations, and advertiser confidence. Re-establishing a trustworthy brand is critical for the NBA to maintain its commercial viability and sustain growth in both domestic and international markets. Without deliberate, transparent efforts, the league risks long-term weakening of its foundational revenue pillars. Betting partnerships in jeopardy. Legal sportsbooks have been central to the NBA's recent commercial strategy, integrating betting into fan engagement while generating significant revenue. Partnerships with operators like DraftKings and FanDuel expanded the league's income streams and provided new engagement metrics. However, the scandal has exposed vulnerabilities in this model. Allegations of insider information affecting betting outcomes put the credibility of these partnerships under scrutiny.
I can't imagine that in charge of day-to-day operations. So how does the team elevate an assistant coach to take over day-to-day coaching? How do the responsibilities change down the ranks of the other assistant coaches from that point?
Sportsbook operators are responding cautiously. Some have framed the controversy as a validation of regulated markets, emphasizing the role of monitoring systems and data sharing in preventing manipulation. Yet, these defenses may not satisfy regulators, fans, or betting participants who question whether internal protocols were sufficient. If confidence diminishes, contracts may be renegotiated, certain bets may be restricted, and overall profitability could decline. Regulators are likely to impose tighter rules on high-risk bets, particularly props and individual performance wagers most susceptible to manipulation. Any changes in betting regulations could reduce revenue and limit fan engagement. For sportsbooks, stricter oversight translates into operational adjustments and potential revenue loss, which may prompt renegotiation of partnership terms with the league. For the NBA, these challenges threaten both revenue and credibility. Betting partnerships were a key growth area, but now the league must demonstrate that the system is trustworthy. Structural reforms, such as independent oversight, enhanced transparency, and real-time data monitoring, are essential to restore confidence. While the league can potentially salvage these relationships, delay or inadequate responses could fracture key commercial agreements. Betting revenue is not just financially valuable, it also signals the NBA's ability to innovate and grow its brand in emerging markets. Maintaining strong partnerships will require balancing compliance, fan trust, and commercial interests, all while navigating regulatory and reputational pressures. Integrity reform and internal oversight costs. The gambling scandal has revealed systemic weaknesses in the NBA's internal oversight. Addressing these issues requires significant investment in integrity measures, personnel, and technological systems. The league is reportedly implementing stricter internal protocols, including revisions to its code of conduct, updated injury reporting policies, and staff training programs to detect suspicious behavior.
Yeah, there's nothing that is without risk. And gambling is certainly the high profile thing because there's nothing more important to the league than the integrity of the contest.
Real-time monitoring of betting activity has become a priority. Systems capable of analyzing data from both internal sources and external sportsbooks must detect anomalies early, allowing the league to intervene before potential manipulation escalates. Integrating these systems with external betting regulators adds complexity and cost, but is necessary to maintain credibility. The NBA is likely hiring specialized staff dedicated to liaising with external integrity organizations like SIGA and implementing standardized oversight protocols. These experts provide credibility and external verification but come at significant operational expense. Technological infrastructure is equally important. Sophisticated analytical tools, anomaly detection algorithms, and risk management platforms are essential for monitoring betting behavior and enforcing league standards. Developing, integrating, and maintaining these systems represents a long-term financial commitment, but is necessary to prevent recurrence of scandal and reassure partners, sponsors, and fans. Without these reforms, the league risks not only further scandals, but also erosion of trust and commercial value. Although the upfront costs are high, the alternative, ongoing legal and reputational damage, could prove even more expensive. For the NBA, integrity reforms are both a financial imperative and a strategic necessity, creating a framework to rebuild confidence in the league's fairness and stability. Sportsbook partnerships under pressure. The NBA's collaboration with sportsbooks like DraftKings and FanDuel has been a strategic cornerstone for the league, integrating legalized betting into its commercial model and generating substantial new revenue streams. These partnerships, however, are now facing significant strain due to the recent gambling scandal. Allegations involving high-profile figures, including players and coaches, suggest that insider knowledge may have influenced betting outcomes, challenging the integrity of both the league and its betting partners.
So all these guys knew what was at stake, and I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position.
Sportsbooks have attempted to defend their systems, emphasizing the robustness of data sharing and monitoring protocols designed to detect suspicious betting activity. DraftKings, for example, pointed to its real-time analytics and integrity tools as evidence of the safeguards that prevent manipulation. Covers.com. These measures are essential for maintaining trust, but they may not fully address public and regulatory concerns. Stakeholders, including fans, regulators, and investors, may perceive the NBA's oversight as insufficient, leading to pressure for more stringent checks or even contractual renegotiations. Regulatory bodies are also likely to respond to these vulnerabilities. Experts are calling for enhanced safeguards, particularly around high-risk prop bets, which are most susceptible to manipulation. Covers.com. Any mandated restrictions could impact profitability for both sportsbooks and the NBA, as betting partnerships represent a significant source of rapidly growing revenue. Reduced betting offerings or stricter contractual terms could diminish returns from these partnerships, undermining a segment that the league has heavily promoted as part of its growth strategy. Financially, if sportsbooks reduce exposure to risky bets, the NBA could see a direct decrease in revenue. Even if operators remain engaged, stricter oversight or risk-averse business models may limit potential earnings. To sustain these partnerships, the NBA will need to collaborate closely with sportsbooks, implement structural reforms, and enhance transparency, including independent integrity audits. While these measures require significant investment, they are critical to stabilizing betting-related income and safeguarding the league's reputation. Ultimately, sportsbook partnerships will remain viable only if the NBA demonstrates a proactive approach to reform and compliance. Strengthened monitoring, transparent governance, and clear accountability measures are necessary to rebuild confidence among both partners and fans. Failure to act decisively could jeopardize one of the most promising commercial developments in the league's recent history, while successful reforms could stabilize revenue and restore faith in the NBA's betting ecosystem. Sponsor and brand backlash. The NBA's commercial ecosystem relies heavily on sponsorship revenue from global brands, ranging from broadcast advertising and arena signage to jersey patches and promotional partnerships. The gambling scandal threatens these relationships by raising questions about league integrity and exposing sponsors to reputational risk. Brands are increasingly sensitive to public perception, and any association with insider betting, corruption, or potential manipulation of game outcomes could prompt reconsideration of contracts or renegotiation of terms.
You do not see something like this happen. Even when the scandal came down the pike involving Tim Donaghy, the former referee for the NBA, you didn't see the director of the FBI having a press conference about it. But that's what we saw this morning. And to me, it comes down to this.
High-profile sponsors are particularly vulnerable to the scandal's effects. For companies operating in international markets with stricter regulatory frameworks or cultural sensitivity to gambling, a league perceived as compromised may be a less attractive partner. Long-term contracts could be revised to include stricter oversight clauses, performance-based conditions, or public accountability measures. Even if sponsors do not fully withdraw, they may demand discounts, revised messaging guidelines, or enhanced visibility into the NBA's internal reform process. The economic impact of a sponsor pullback extends beyond immediate revenue. Lower investment in sponsorships can affect team marketing budgets, fan engagement initiatives, and promotional activities, reducing overall league visibility and diminishing fan experience. A reduction in sponsorship income also limits the NBA's ability to invest in growth, particularly for global expansion initiatives that rely on brand partnerships for funding and market credibility. The league's response is critical to maintaining sponsor confidence, demonstrating meaningful internal reform, transparency, and progress towards strengthened governance can reassure partners. Third-party audits, independent integrity monitoring, and public reporting on reform measures can provide additional credibility. These steps are not only reactive but strategic, reinforcing the NBA's commitment to long-term stability. Long-term brand health is closely tied to sponsor confidence. Brands are not solely concerned with short-term visibility. They evaluate the context in which their association operates. A credible, transparent, and proactively reformed NBA can maintain or even grow sponsorship revenue over time. Conversely, failure to rebuild trust could result in sustained financial and reputational consequences, undermining domestic and international commercial strategies and slowing the league's broader strategic growth objectives. Regulatory and congressional risk. The NBA now faces heightened scrutiny from regulators and lawmakers due to the gambling scandal, adding an additional layer of operational and financial risk. Congressional attention, including formal inquiries and requested briefings, places pressure on the league to demonstrate transparency and accountability in areas such as betting oversight, injury reporting, and data management. Such scrutiny has implications for governance, compliance budgets, and long-term operational planning.
I think one solution that we've talked about is banning bets on minor players. That was a result that we saw of the whole Jonte Porter thing last year. He was like the 12th, 13th ban on the Raptors. You can no longer bet on players like that. You're seeing the menu of NBA players that you're able to bet on.
Regulatory responses could require more stringent oversight measures, including mandatory reporting protocols, independent audits, and limitations on certain betting products. The NBA may need to invest heavily in compliance infrastructure, including monitoring systems, staff training, and integration of data analysis technologies capable of detecting suspicious betting patterns. These initiatives are necessary to meet regulatory standards but represent unplanned costs that strain the league's budget. Congressional engagement also introduces strategic uncertainty. Legislative action could impose permanent operational changes, potentially restricting the scope of the league's betting partnerships or altering how sportsbooks collaborate with the NBA. Such measures would affect revenue projections, sponsorship arrangements, and media rights negotiations, increasing financial volatility. Stakeholders, including investors, sponsors, and media partners, are likely to monitor regulatory developments closely, adjusting expectations and negotiating power in response. The NBA must balance regulatory compliance with the operational flexibility required to maintain commercial growth. Demonstrating proactive reforms, transparency, and adherence to integrity standards is essential for reassuring regulators, preserving fan trust, and stabilizing business operations. Failure to adequately respond could not only result in financial penalties, but also trigger reputational damage, reducing confidence among commercial partners and the public. Ultimately, regulatory and congressional oversight amplifies both economic and strategic pressure. The league's ability to navigate these demands will influence the sustainability of betting partnerships, sponsorship income, and media rights deals. A robust, transparent, and credible approach is necessary to contain the scandal's impact and restore long-term confidence in the NBA's governance and commercial operations. Long-term brand damage and global expansion risk. The NBA's global expansion strategy, which includes international broadcasting, merchandising, and sponsorship partnerships, faces long-term risk due to the gambling scandal. Allegations involving insider betting and corruption can undermine the league's credibility abroad, particularly in regions where gambling is heavily regulated or culturally sensitive. This reputational threat may affect both ongoing partnerships and future expansion opportunities, slowing growth in international markets.
What's the message the DOJ is sending here to the NBA, to the other sports leagues?
I believe that the message they're sending loud and clear is we are investigating anyone and everyone depending not on their income.
International sponsors and media partners are particularly sensitive to integrity issues. They may require transparency into the NBA's governance processes, enhanced compliance measures, and evidence of accountability before committing to long-term contracts. Even minor doubts about fairness or oversight can delay investment or renegotiate previously agreed-upon terms, affecting broadcast agreements, licensing deals, and promotional campaigns. The scandal may also impact franchise valuations. Teams in emerging markets rely on global fan bases and commercial partnerships for growth. A weakened brand can limit international fan engagement, reducing merchandise sales, ticketing potential, and media audience reach. Franchise owners may need to reassess expansion plans and revenue projections, while league executives must carefully manage perceptions in both domestic and international markets. To mitigate long-term damage, the NBA must implement a strategic, transparent, and sustained reform plan. This could include global integrity campaigns, partnerships with independent oversight organizations, and ongoing communication of progress and governance reforms. Successfully demonstrating accountability and structural reform can reassure international markets and restore confidence among sponsors and media partners. However, rebuilding a global reputation takes time. The scandal's effects may linger, influencing investor sentiment, sponsorship valuations, and international partnerships for years. The NBA's ability to demonstrate consistent reform, transparency, and credibility will determine whether the league can sustain its growth trajectory abroad or whether the scandal casts a prolonged shadow over its global ambitions. Before you go, remember, the story of the NBA's financial collapse and the fallout from the gambling scandal is far from fully revealed. The bankruptcies, the sponsor exodus, the high-stakes decisions. It's all part of a puzzle the public hasn't seen in full. If you want to see what happens next, the legal battles, the regulatory moves, and the strategies that could determine the league's survival, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The next revelation could change everything.